My father was a doctor, and he was when I was little, he was in the military. My mother was from Doswell. Well, not Doswell, from down that way somewhere. That's down, you know. My grandmother was a Mancure.
Mancure, yeah.
Uh-huh. And so my mother's name was Margaret Mancure Jones. And I have a brother who's younger. And he's Joseph Bernard Jones Jr.
Now, where does the bird come in?
The bird comes from my grandmother. Her name was Clorinda Bird Mancure when she was young.
In Culpeper, what was the street you lived on in
I
Culpeper?
lived on McCoy, MCOY Avenue in Culpeper.
Cool, so that's where you had your childhood home?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's where you kind of grew up.
Yeah.
So your dad moved from wherever you were.
Well, and as I say, he was in the service.
Mm-hmm.
He was way back then. He was in the service. He was a captain in the service, and then he became a major. As time went on, you know, he advanced.
When the war was over, I mean, he eventually returned to civilian life.
Mm-hmm.
So he became a general practitioner in Culpeper.
Yes, he did.
And he made house calls.
Mm-hmm. Lots of house calls.
Really?
Everybody always wanted him to come because they liked him. That's what my mother said. And but Dad, he had a lot of patience. He really did. He went in practice with Dr. Kelly, and those two had a family practice together.
Did they deliver babies?
My dad did. I guess Dr. Kelly did. I don't know. Culpeper was like a small town then, and everybody knew everybody. And so there are people that are still there that if they aren't all dead, that remember me and say, "Oh, you're Dr. Jones's daughter." So I don't know how many of those people are left.
Right. Where did you go to school?
Well, I went, of course, to high school, elementary and high school in Culpeper.
Was there anything about school that you particularly liked or did not like?
Oh, I liked school, but I just didn't like. I took Latin for a year or so, and I really didn't like Latin very much, but I took it and I passed it, and you know. But I wasn't really a Latin person, but I did take Latin. Mm-hmm. And I had Miss Thornhill as my teacher. She was this prudy, old maid type teacher that didn't suit my ways, but anyway, we got along, and I passed everything.
Yeah. Were you a wild girl as a teenager?
Yes, sir. I have to admit. And I loved to stay. Well, I mean, I couldn't be but so wild because my parents wouldn't let me be but so wild. But I played basketball, and I did all the sports there were that girls could do, and I just loved being out and doing things physical.
Oh, so you were a tomboy.
Yes, sir. Loved every minute of it. When I was younger, I used to go to a girls' camp up in Shenandoah Mountains in the summer and stay all summer as a counselor, as a junior counselor. So I never did do anything beyond that. I never really worked. My dad didn't really encourage me to work, so I just rode horses. My father was very disgusted because I didn't go further, but I just really wasn't interested in it.
You were more interested in horses.
That's right. I really was, honestly.
And did you get a job after school?
Yeah, I worked at Daddy's office as a receptionist for quite a bit. But I don't know what other job I had. No, that was probably about the only thing.
Then what did you do after that? You worked at the telephone company when you
Yeah.
were...
I went to work for Verizon.
Oh, but it was C&P back in those days, wasn't it?
I went to work for C&P. So, and I worked for them for a long time.
Now, were you a telephone operator?
No. I worked with the engineering part of that. Was with the engineers in the Culpeper area.
So,
Oh, I loved to ride horses. I rode horses every chance I could throw my leg on one. I love horses.
How old were you when you started riding?
When I had a pony about this big. I loved horses.
so
And let me tell you what I caught it from. my grandmother loved to ride horses. And she would throw a leg. Everybody in the area used to tell me, your grandmother would throw her leg over anything and ride through the countryside. And Mother loved horses too, so it came to me right.
Right down the line.
Because they both loved to ride.
and then you rode all your life, didn't you?
I did. Every chance I could find one to throw a leg on, I did. And I had friends that had horses, and I'd go ride theirs. It didn't matter to me whose horse it was, as long as they said I could ride it.
Now, were you riding English style or Western style?
English,
English style.
yeah.
And did you fox hunt?
Yeah, I did. Rappahannock. I fox hunted with Rappahannock.
That's some hilly territory.
And I loved it over there. And you just went on. You had a good horse and you just flew.
Ever get hurt?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about when you got hurt.
Well, a lot of times a horse would go right up to the jump and then slam on brakes like this, and I'd go over the jump. But not so often. But you can't always tell what they're going to do. You sit loose and you get forward and you're ready. And whatever happens, happens. And so I've had many a time when I got up off the ground, dusted myself off, and somebody helped me catch my horse, and I went on. I never let anything like that stop me.
You ever break a collarbone?
Hmm?
Did you ever break your collarbone?
Yes, sir.
More than once?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry to say, yeah, that's the case. I have a couple of lumpy shoulder spots right there. But it's no fun if you can't. You just got to go do your thing. You can't sit around and say, oh, well, I might do something. I'm not that kind of person.
Did you show as well?
Mm-hmm.
And competed?
Mm-hmm. But that's been a long time ago. I really fox hunted. And I like that better because you could gallop along and then jump and then go on. And when you get too fancy, it's too prissy. And it was too prissy for me. I'm sorry, I'm not a prissy person. They had a big group from Rappahannock, and so that we would get in a group and ride in a lot of things, And, of course, that was like fox hunting because, boy, when the Rappahannock people took off, when they took off, you better take off or you got left sitting right there. You got to be tough to do that kind of stuff. You can't sit back and be prissy. I'm sorry.
Now, I thought I saw a picture over there on the table of you dressed up in Western riding gear, almost like you were riding a cutting horse or a reining horse. Did you do that too?
Yeah, I did that too. Yeah, that was a super nice reining horse. But I did like him, and I liked those chaps too. I rode English and I rode Western, and I thoroughly enjoyed them both. I started out with English because most of my friends rode English. So I started out with English, and then I went to Western when everybody was going to Western, and that was when you rode across the country and up this mountain and down that mountain.
You went on trail ride?
Yes, sir. Loved them. Loved trail rides.
Right.
He was in the service, and when he came back from Korea was when we got together and then got married.
And how many children did you have?
2,
What are their names?
Margaret and Pamela.
And what do you call Margaret?
Meg.
So the 2 daughters were from the first marriage?
Did your mom ever take you on vacation?
Mama took me and took the children, to the beach.
What beach did you go to?
We went to Westmoreland State Park, to that beach.
And what was your favorite memory at the beach?
Oh, I just love to swim. I really love to swim. And the kids, I brought them up to love to swim too, so it wasn't any of this sitting around. I didn't have kids to have them sitting around like this. They had to get out and do with me. And my mother, see, she was that kind of woman. She was out and doing, and that's where I got it from. Mom she was a tough gal.
And when you got older, what did you wear at the beach? Were you conservative?
No, ma'am.
You weren't? What'd you wear?
I wore a bikini.
You did?
Yes, ma'am. You didn't think I wore something conservative, did you?
I don't know. They did. A lot of people did back then.
Well, I wasn't too bare. I wasn't naked, but I wore things to swim in, and I could swim too. Daddy was he was an officer in the service. He was a major in the Army, and he was in medical field, and he was very bossy. And there's only so much of that you can take. And after a while, I just got sick and fed up with it, and so I went into my own apartment and took the girls, and we made our own way because I just couldn't stand it. He was a good man, and he loved us, and he gave me anything that I needed, but I couldn't stand it. He was so bossy. We had a farm, and I loved the horses. And he didn't care a thing in the world about the horses, but that was fine as long as I was free to do my thing. He could go and be a farmer if he wanted to. I didn't care.
Yeah. So you had basically a horse farm there.
Yes, sir.
Did you breed horses and raise them and sell them?
Well, we had a stallion, and we did breed some horses, but we didn't do it as a business. We bred some of our own horses, and we had a lot of nice foals. We really did.
What else did you have that you really enjoyed when you were on the farm?
Corgis, and I loved corgis, and I'd have one right now if I could. I just really like corgis.
The Queen's dog.
Well, I didn't know about that at the time, but it was just a perfect dog because, see, I could put I had a corgi that was named Foxy, and I'd put Foxy up in the vehicle, and we'd take off and go, and I could be gone all day long, and she would ride along, and whenever she needed to go potty, I'd just open the door, and she'd jump out and get back in, and we'd go on some more. But I really liked corgis. I'd have one now if I could.
Tell me about your artwork.
Well, I just love to do artwork. It's something that just, see, I was a sport, and I rode horses and did all that. That was one thing. But then doing artwork is a totally different thing. It releases something inside of you that lets you produce something that you can show people that you're proud of. riding horses was something that suited me. But doing artwork inside of me, I could show it to people and say, look what I did. And it was just different. I just never did want to do just one thing. I liked everything. I wanted to do everything. I say, enjoy life as much as you can and get as much as you can out of it, because you'll never come this way again. And that's the way I feel about it. And that's the way I felt about it when I used to fox hunt and going over those big jumps. And people used to say, oh, aren't you scared? No, I wasn't scared. Because I figured that I had the ability to do it. The horse had the ability to do it. And we were going to do it as long as we could. And then when we couldn't, we'd quit. And I didn't believe in this sitting back waiting. I wasn't that kind of a person. I wanted to get in there and do it. So that's the way I was. Bad, good, or indifferent, that was the way I was.